not talk about family when family's all that we got. Everything I went through, you were standing there by my side. And now you gon' be with me for the last ride.
Hello and welcome to Too Fast, Too Forever. There's all kinds of family. We chose this one. This is episode 20, The Fate of the Furious, Lap 2. I'm Joey Lewandowski.
And I'm Joe too. And this episode is brought to you by Samsonite Briefcases for hiding all of your nuclear codes. Samsonite is the worldwide leader in superior travel bags, luggage, and all accessories combining notable style with the latest design and technology and the utmost attention to quality and durability. Did you get your briefcase?
I did, and considering our guest today, it's perfect because it's very fashionable, very fashion-forward.
Exactly, that's what I was...
Very luxurious.
Yes, exactly, that's what...
Good, thank you. Shout out Samsonite.
They came through, they were like, hey, we know what's going on here. And they were like, how about, you get some briefcases. I was like, I could use a new aluminum briefcase for my nuclear codes. So they sent them over.
So here we are talking about The Fate of the Furious once again. Every time we talk about this movie, I talk about how I don't like it. I sort of paid a little bit less attention, and I think I liked it more this time. Roman did not bother me this time, so that's good. However, I found other things to annoy me, so we will talk about that in the full episode when our guest, Kim Bhasin, the luxury reporter, or the U.S. luxury reporter for Bloomberg. Yes, we actually got a high-profile, actual, serious journalist to follow in Walt's footsteps from a couple episodes ago to talk about this film franchise with us. When he is on to talk about it, I will talk about my new pet peeves with this movie. But, certain things that bothered me in the past did not bother me, so progress, I guess?
Yeah. I actually took a very similar step, and I also watched it kind of, more in the background. I was like, oh, that one's not too bad, Like, when you just, explosion, car chase, if we weren't, intently focused on it to, pick it apart. I agree. I was like, oh, not too bad.
Because I love the rest of them. This one I just can't get behind, and I feel like if I just have to find...
And it's weird. I wonder if we would have felt differently, Did you feel differently, when you came out of the theaters?
No, I've never liked this movie.
Okay.
The most I liked it, I think, was when we watched it either last time or maybe for Charlize. I like it slightly more, but I've never been crazy about this. I know that either in the email that he wrote in last time or maybe the one that he sent a follow-up today, I know that Wes talked about how he saw this with a crowd of super fans, and he was super pumped on it. He still likes it a lot.
Cool.
But I didn't have that theater experience. I didn't leave the theater being I fucking love this movie. It was more like, oh, I'm disappointed, and I'm hoping one day that I can like it more.
Okay. That makes sense.
So we did have a special mailbag episode, last episode,
if you missed
bonus
it,
episode.
If you don't hear your mail, go check out that one, because it's in there.
Yep.
We didn't skip any.
Yeah, no. Before we get to the mailbag today, we do have extracurricular activities. The last time we recorded was... I guess it was right after... when was this? I guess it was right after Thanksgiving. I've basically done nothing the last couple of weeks except for work and watch movies, because I am trying to cram my year-end list, make sure that my year-end list is as accurate as possible because it matters to me. But I've not done a whole ton. I did see Tom York, which I think I talked about last time, which was very good, very cool. Not as fun as seeing Radiohead, but seeing him solo is cool. And also today, as we're recording this, Radiohead got inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Not that I care about that, the Hall of Fame, but I think it's cool that they got in.
Yeah, that is cool.
They didn't get in first ballot last year, but this year. I'm trying to see if there's anything else. I hung out with resident historian Mike Manzi a couple times. We did some Cage Club Revisited, saw some movies in theaters. Other than that, it's been a very quiet 2 weeks. What about you? What have you done?
I don't remember. Did we talk before Thanksgiving or afterwards?
We talked after Thanksgiving.
Okay, yeah, I've been trying to lay low. I've been doing too many things. I had some work Christmas parties, stuff along those lines. It's getting close to holiday time. So there's lots of that going on. I'm so checked out. I'm just done, giving up on work stuff and all this other stuff. So I'm trying to lay low and trying to not do stuff, but then I have all of these other friend things to do. I was trying to remember if I talked about going to a Penguins game. I think I did.
I think you did. To Ottawa, right? I think we talked about that.
Yeah, I think we talked about that.
Because I asked you how the bathroom situation was. You said it was better.
Yeah, I'm trying to plan...
Rachel almost got into a fight.
Trying to plan a vacation coming up soon. Got Rachel's vacation days, so that's what I've been working on that, and I'll have some cool news about that eventually.
Maybe you can go to Havana.
Yeah, I actually Rio was on the list, and I thought about it. I was like, "This is Brazil." Like I literally saw it when I was looking for flights today, because I'm like very open ended on like where we could go. So,
And if you want to go somewhere really super dangerous and really kind of fucked up right now, go to Brazil. Why not?
is it?
Brazil's not in a good position right now. And then they also just elected like this crazy extremist right wing guy to be their president. Like Brazil's not in a good place right now. I would avoid Rio if I could if I were you.
Oh, that sounds probably a good idea. Yeah, that's fair.
But yeah.
Check that one off of the list.
Yeah.
Thanks for helping me narrow down my list of places to go.
That reminds me, like when I was, I think, in 6th grade, they approached a bunch of like the honors kids or whatever, and they were just like, "We're planning a trip to the Middle East and Egypt." And my dad was like, "You're not fucking going to the Middle East." Like, this was even before 9/11, but even back then, it was just like, "Oh no, like you're not doing that." And I was like, "But I want to go," and like not having any idea of like what the world was like. You know what I mean? So
you had like the concept of yeah.
I'm like, "Oh, pyramids."
I want to go see the pyramids bad, man.
Yeah, me too.
It's way up there, but like,
yeah,
I don't know how scary Egypt actually is.
I think if you're super smart about it, you could probably be okay, but also at the same time, I'm kind of worried. I don't know,
You know what scares me the most about it, and this is gonna be funny, is because like I like always like check stuff on miles and stuff like that. I know that like hotel rooms in Egypt are very cheap. And that freaks me out.
Yeah, because nobody.
That's what I mean.
Like, nobody's staying there.
That's what I'm saying. So you can go to like these like all-inclusive resorts in Egypt, like very close to like the main cities, and they're like $40 a night, and I'm like,
yeah,
that's a little too. That feels a little shady to me. That's a bad sign, Like
it's not great. I can tell you that much.
That's how I gauged it. I saw it and I was like, that's just a little bit too cheap. Like that's like trying to lure people in cheap,
Yeah. We got some fun stuff coming up in the next couple of weeks that we will talk about on the Relap Recap episode in 2 weeks before we start Lap 3, the Ride-Along Lap, with resident historian Mike Manzi.
Yeah.
But anything else you want to talk about before we move on to the mailbag?
No, that's it.
Before we get to our mailbag, we do have a Patreon page. Patreon is, if you don't know, a way to support artists, and we are, in a sense, artists. Basically help us do the things that we love to do, which is watch these movies and talk about these movies. We have cool ideas on there for even more ways that we could talk about these. But you can also, more important to you, the listener, if you want to kick in a couple bucks, you can get some merch like shirts or stickers for this show. So if you want to wear your pride proudly.
I promise they'll be really cool. Well, Joey's going to make them, but I promise they'll be really cool.
They will be, it's going to be cool, I think. I hope. I'm just ignoring my absolute 100% amount of the work and just saying it's going to be cool.
I mean, you're going to do all of it. I was giving you credit. That was like more credit than anything.
Well,
because I was like, they're going to be cool, but I'm like, I'm not going to do
credit,
but they're going to be cool.
Backhanded credit. Basically, like, it's going to be, like, you're going to do all the work, but it's going to be super cool. It's like, oh, okay, thanks.
I'm sorry.
But shout out Cassie Wilson, our patron over there, getting a verbal shout out on this episode.
Hello.
Thank you, Cassie, for throwing us a couple bucks. We appreciate you. We have an email address here on the show, family@cageclub.me. Wes Hampton, who wrote in last time, sent a follow-up email. We say we do not have to read it on air, but I'm going to read a little bit of it on air. He said that he likes the mailbag as a separate episode when there's a bunch to cover like this. He really enjoys hearing everyone's email. And he said, but at the very least, it makes me feel better about not forcing other fans to listen to me rambling on for paragraphs if they don't want to. I love hearing Wes's thoughts. I mean, it's basically, he's not like a co-host on here, but it's sort of like he's a co-host for 5 minutes. You know what I mean? Like, he's here chiming in, hearing his thoughts, moving on.
Exactly.
He talked about how he had attended a bunch of the feasts at the Draft House.
Because we asked him about that, yeah.
He thinks that he and his wife went to what they thought was the first Lord of the Rings feast in 2005 at the original Draft House location.
Whoa.
They were worried that they couldn't do 12 hours of movies in a stretch, but it's so much fun that they wish there had been a fourth film, which is, so basically Wes, just like me, is like the opposite of you. I want more movies. You're like, I can't sit still for 45 minutes.
I have to watch movies in pieces. I cannot watch a full movie straight through. Especially if it comes to like 2 hours, like maybe like an hour 20. I could probably sit through that, like, because I'm like, okay, we're getting near the end. But anything over an hour and 40, two
like
pieces easily. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. He talks about how his friends were basically jealous that he got to do that, so that's sort of where the idea came from.
Okay.
And he said that there's a difference between 12 hours in the theater with carefully controlled small portion meals from the 12 hours at home on a couch stuffing your face right from the beginning. He said that they fell asleep about halfway through and woke up exhausted to the screen telling us to change the disc for part 2 of The Two Towers. He said they've gotten better at pacing themselves over the years and generally don't pick 4-hour-long movies anymore. He said that they've also gone to a Titanic feast where they served the last meal served in first class on the ship.
Oh, that's
He said
cool.
his wife loves Titanic.
I read a menu once, and the menu was really fucked up. Like, I read, like, a first-class menu,
Yeah.
and it was, like, all of these, like, weird combinations of things, and it was, like, lots of, like, meats and milk mixed together, and I was, like, very confused by it.
Weird.
Yeah.
He said that they've also gone to an Amelie feast. You know Amelie? You know Amelie.
Yes, I've never seen it,
Yep.
but I know what it is.
Kill Bill 1 and 2 feast. He said his wife also loves Tarantino, especially those movies. Those are my favorite Tarantino movies too, the Kill Bill movies. Not my favorite thing that he's written. I like True Romance more, but love Kill Bill.
I do too.
He said they did a Jurassic Park party at home a few years ago before Jurassic World came out, and now they're going to plan a smaller dino brunch for next year. There's fossilized dinosaur tracks in the creek bed near their house, and they've always wanted to take people to them, so they're going to incorporate that somehow. Then he said that if you and I are in Austin, we could join them for that, so that would be very cool. I don't know if I'm going to be down there. I don't know.
First of all, Wes, dinosaurs aren't real. They were made by the government. But I will see your fake fossilized dinosaur feet happily.
Footprints. And he says, lastly, as far as the Fast Five Brazilian job thing, what you read about them altering the script makes little sense. It makes more sense than Chris Morgan just randomly writing a script that's wildly different from the Fast and Furious movies, and also just happens to feel a lot like the Italian Job sequel was probably going to be. I'm just curious if you had any definitive sources besides IMDb trivia.
Yeah.
Nope, because I couldn't find any. As far as I'm concerned, though, that's probably exactly what happened. That's it. Keep up the good work. I'm looking forward to hearing this podcast really get nuts in the coming laps.
Oh, it's going to get zany, I promise.
Yep. So thank you, Wes. If you want to write in, if we have a lot of emails, we will do another bonus mailbag episode. If not, we'll just cover them on the show. family@cageclub.me. Just say hi.
We can address them in recap. We have a recap relap coming up soon because we're finishing this one up, so that's cool.
Send us mail right to our Tay-Tay, family@cageclub.me. One little announcement here about the network. We have a new show that as we're recording this just launched its first episode today, or as you're listening to this, last week. Nico and Kevo, his husband Kevo, Nico was supposed to be on our Tokyo Drift episode, but then scheduling conflicts got in the way, so he'll be on a future episode at some point.
Yeah.
They launched a show today about... They're going to talk about a lot of things. What they're kicking off with is the MCU, the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So they're going to do one movie a week per week up until Avengers Endgame comes out. So
That's cool.
It's perfectly timed there. And they're looking at the movies not just through like an analytical lens, but also through like an inclusion lens. Like, do you see you in the MCU? Because they are a gay married couple, and so they want to see if that's represented, if there's, women represented, if there's minorities represented. Like, there's all different things
That's interesting.
that we talk about in these movies, right? Like, we
Yeah.
talk about how there's a lot of representation, maybe not gay, but, multi-ethnic, men and women. Do you see you in Fast and Furious? Probably yes. But do you see you in the MCU? They're going to answer that over on HTML, Husbands Talking More or Less, new episodes every Thursday.
That's cool.
At cageclub.me.
I dig it. That's cool. I mean, we do a very similar thing, so
Yeah.
feel the vibes, feel the love.
And I think, their goal is after they do this, they're going to go to a different franchise or something and keep going, Kevo, I think they both love Disney, so they might do Disney stuff. They might
That's
do...
cool.
I think they love like Buffy, maybe. I don't know.
Who knows?
Nika is also the co-host of both X's for Podcast about X-Men and also Now and Again, which is about the pop music, which is with Chris Podcast, who was on our Tokyo Drift episode. So Nico's got his voice all over the network, all over pop culture. Really smart guy. Go check out mcu.html. Okay. Oh, one other thing I want to say is that I watched before we started recording. Not only did I watch Kim Basin's Invitation Only series on YouTube,
Same.
but I also watched the Wax and the Furious.
Oh, you did. Oh, what'd you think about it? I know I sent it to you because Adam was watching what's the show called? Last Week Tonight. Yeah, he was watching Last Week Tonight and he was like, you gotta watch last week's episode. And I was like, okay, whatever. And he's like, you have to watch it. And then so I watched it, and I really enjoyed The Wax of the Furious. It was nice tongue-in-cheek. It was a little long, but they didn't drag it out longer than it needed to be, even. So
Yeah, so the video on YouTube is like 8 minutes. They don't really get to the thing until like 3 minutes, maybe. I liked it, but my problem with it is that I wish it was more Fast and Furious. Like, it kind of becomes a parody of like all action movies within a racing thing. Like they
It
sort
does.
of parody Mission Impossible,
Yeah.
and then there's all the president stuff, which I don't know if that's like a running joke on Last Week Tonight.
Yeah,
I don't
so
know.
that was just like they were selling these wax presidents somewhere. John Oliver showed up and he like wanted to buy one, and it turned out that like Jon Stewart had like already like was bidding against him like on the phone, like he wasn't there, but he was like bidding against him. And so like when Jon Stewart bought the one that he wanted, then he bought like 5 of these wax presidents, and he's just been like trying, like he doesn't know what to do with them. So this is like that's the running joke. Yeah.
So like I feel like if I was watching that show more, I would have liked it more. But it just feels like there's just a bunch of wax presidents trying to steal back Russell Crowe's jock strap from.
Oh, do you know that joke
Cinderella
too?
Man?
Do you know this?
No, but I mean I gathered what that was from. Like that was they
bought
tried to
it.
save Blockbuster by having like a I got the gist of it. It just felt like it would have been funnier if I watched more
Payoff
of the show.
would have been
It just
greater.
sort of felt,
Yeah, it would have. I agree.
It just sort of felt like okay. So if you watch Last Week Tonight, you probably have already seen it. If
Definitely.
you don't watch Last Week Tonight, you can check it out. I don't think you have to, but it's cool that again, like we say a lot, mainstream popular culture loves these movies enough to reference them and parody them and talk about them in their programming, their content and their art.
Yeah, for that point alone, you should give it a peek.
On the streets, the only news that I have, I think, is that Isa Gonzalez, who is the female lead in Baby Driver, she's also been in a couple other things lately.
Okay.
She's badass, she's beautiful. She is going to be in some role in Hobbs and Shaw. So The Rock announced that on his Instagram. But not that we weren't already very, very excited for Hobbs and Shaw, but she's awesome. I'm looking forward to having her in this world, in this universe. And so excited even more so for Hobbs and Shaw coming out sometime next year. Do we have a date on that?
I don't think so. I was actually thinking that today. I was
July 26th.
Yeah, interesting.
So soonish.
Yeah.
Directed by the guy who directed the first John Wick. Directed by the guy who directed Atomic Blonde.
Yeah, we knew that for sure.
Very excited. Do you have any other news for On the Streets or no? I haven't really been. Wes wrote in on the email episode about we might already know this from our news finding about the mobile game, but like I can't do a Google alert for Fast and Furious just because
it gives you a ton of stuff.
It's a phrase that's used everywhere. Yeah.
So I have a little one. Michelle Rodriguez is going to be in this new movie called The Limit. Do you know this? With Norman Reedus. He looks familiar. You know who that is?
He's Daryl on The Walking Dead. He's also from Boondock Saints.
They're doing this movie called The Limit. It's a virtual reality film. They released a trailer for it.
Cool.
She plays an assassin, so it kind of fits in line. I think it's gonna be like on it's a virtual reality film, so it's gonna be on like Oculus Go and stuff like that, like on VR.
All right.
I mean,
I'm not gonna watch it that way, but yeah, it's cool, I guess.
Yeah, you can watch it in 180 degrees.
Yeah.
It's a 20-minute action movie, so it's
okay.
Yeah, it's not like a full thing.
Gotcha.
But they released a trailer for it, and so she's still working, essentially. That's what I was trying to say.
Like, aside from Vin and The Rock, who are, like, massive stars, I mean, I think that she's going to be the most consistently working actor of the core group. You know what I mean? Because she's always sort of had her niche as, like, the tough, badass chick. Tyrese and Ludacris, not exactly diverse actors in terms of, like, their range. Not that she is either, but I feel like there's just more of a niche for her than just whatever Tyrese brings to movies. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel you. Yeah, I can't wait to talk about this movie with you because, like, on the third watch of this, I was like, I think I noticed it because you've been saying it, but like, this was the most like etched in stone Ludacris is, right? He's like full Tej. Like you say, it's like full Roman or like a caricature of Roman the whole time. And like,
well, no, because you've been saying that you think this is peak Roman. Like, I don't think it's Roman as a character. I think it's as a caricature.
Yeah, exactly.
I think Tej, he might be sort of a caricature too, but it doesn't bother me as much because he's not as in your face about it.
Yeah, I just noticed it this time. He was like full Tej, like committed to being like every like extreme of his character's personality traits. You know what I mean? So yeah, I started noticing it just because you were pointing out.
Well, new lap observations before we take a quick break. I will just say really quickly, I noticed a lot of references to past movies in this one.
Okay.
That, early on, very, very early, when they're talking about both the Cuban Nas, but also like the vacuum line, that when they're in that opening race. Dom says this is an old trick the Buster used to pull, so I like that he's, referencing Brian there.
Oh, yeah.
They talk about Bullet. When they jumped out, like when Roman was talking about something and like about not wanting to do something or whatever, and they reference again to, when he was afraid to fly out of the plane, so that's another thing there.
Yeah.
And then there was one other moment at least that I noticed, I think. Oh, when on the streets, when Dom shoots Deckard right? And
Go ahead.
But he says right before he says that, he's like, they thought this was going to be a street fight, which is the kind of a callback to the end of Furious 7, where that's like they have back and forth where a gun versus like wrenches and stuff like that. So I just thought that it was kind of cool. This feels more, maybe that's not a good thing, I don't know, but I sort of appreciate that it's more sort of self-referential, that it's honoring or remembering past movies. Really, there's like 14 hours of these movies before. You know what I mean? There's a lot of history to tap into. So, what'd you notice this time around that you never noticed around before, aside from Ludacris?
Picking up exactly where you left off, I totally forget every time I watch this movie that Deckard Shaw gets murdered and then comes back to life. Because I remember
fake murdered.
Exactly, but like I totally miss that whole point every time. Like I was watching it now, and I know that he's on the plane at the end with the baby.
Yep.
I know that he's in the beginning, like when they're on the Most Wanted, and he comes in the room. But that in between time, when they come back to the room or something, and they're like, "Did we like lose anybody?" And they're like, "Shaw's gone," or like we lost Shaw or something like that. And I was like, wait, did they fake kill Shaw? And like, you know, like I'm like watching, I'm like, what the fuck? And then he like he wasn't dead, and I was like, oh shit, I totally forgot that they even attempt to do that. Not that he doesn't come back to life or something. Like I just forget that whole middle part.
I think it's just there so that like that Cipher can sort of forget, like not have to worry about him, and so that they're sort of in a sense off the radar, so that he and Owen can sneak onto the plane, rescue baby Brian Marcos.
No, that's exactly what it is.
Right? So,
yeah. That and oh fuck, what else was I gonna say? There was something else that was like on this note.
Well, think about it, save it. We'll talk about it with Kim when he joins right after this break.
Welcome back to Too Fast, Too Furious. Nope. Too Fast, Too Forever. Fate of the Furious. I was trying to get the movie down, like I was thinking about the... Okay. Fate of the Furious, Lap 2. This episode is brought to you by Samsonite. The company was founded by Jesse Schwarter in 1910 in Denver, Colorado, and began business as a trunk manufacturing company. I can't read or think at all today.
Thank you, Samson. I think you're probably just starstruck by our guest. We mentioned him earlier.
I am. I'm tongue-twisted. I'm really excited to talk to Kim.
He is the host of the invitation-only series on YouTube. 4 videos right now, all worth your time. The Bloomberg, was it luxury reporter or U.S. luxury reporter? What's your official title over there?
I'm the U.S. luxury reporter because we have a European luxury reporter and people in Asia, and it's just it's a lot of people. But
so it's really cool.
Yeah, I just cover the American company.
The U.S. luxury reporter from Bloomberg, Kim Bhasin. Hello, Kim.
Hello.
Thank you so much for joining us. My very first question to you, I'm imagining the answer is yes, but did you have input or did you do any work on the incredible Stats of the Furious thing that Bloomberg published a couple years ago?
I did. That was a lengthy project that we did. Until January, I also covered pop culture here at Bloomberg, so that's why I was in on that one.
That's really cool.
Was so cool. Walt sent us that.
It's like our Bible here.
It is our Bible here, because like we were sort of following some of those things, and then we saw it. We were like, oh, they did the actual legwork in terms of like bicep flexes and Corona sips and hugs and all the things that we love so much about these movies. You guys quantified, and it's incredible to see.
Yeah, that was quite a project. It was I don't know how many people were involved. I think about 10. It was like data visualization people. Okay. We had 2 writers on it. We had graphics. We had it was quite a production. I think it took about 2 months to do.
Jeez.
Yeah, it would be 3 people in a room watching every single one of the Fast and Furious movies, basically frame by frame. Like, it was, you would see Tyrese's bicep and be like, oh god, oh, okay, stop, go back a few frames so you get the second right. Gotta get the timestamp. Okay, Tyrese's bicep is on for exactly 3 seconds, and then we go back.
That's
over and
amazing.
over
That's
and
so
over
awesome.
and over and over again.
Those sound like our kind of people, so I'm glad that you're here.
I'm looking forward to the day where like machine learning a robot's purpose is just to go deep and like you could be like, okay Siri, how many times does Michelle Rodriguez pout in these movies? And then like in 30 seconds it could be like, oh, it's 17 times and here are the timestamps. So you guys are just doing the Lord's work in terms of giving us those stats that we so very desperately need.
Did you actually do any of the like The sitting watching? Were you in the room watching it?
Oh yeah. We were in the room. I was in the room. We would talk a lot about what was a shift, because we calculated all the shifts. What was when does a race actually end? Let me just read you the methodology for racing time. And we published this and because we calculated how much racing time happened in every single movie. Racing time. This measures the length of any race involving motorized vehicles, cars, jet skis, etc., including but not limited to formal competitions between 2 or more drivers, impromptu street races, and individual time trials for racing or drifting. For races that do not conclude with a scene shift, racing time ends when the competition appears to conclude. A formal race between 2 people ends when the winner crosses the finish line. A formal race between 2 or more people, or more than 2 people, on the other hand, might end when the penultimate finisher crosses the finish line if the other losing racers fail to finish. This keeps going, by the way, for another 2 paragraphs on racing and chasing time. It was nuts.
I want to be in the room when you decided, where somebody's like, but what if somebody doesn't finish? And you're like, okay, and you draw up the rules again. It's like you created your own sport. I love it.
Yeah, we almost got
all of these
fights over what's a bicep and what's not. They couldn't be wearing short sleeve shirts because it's only half a bicep. It's got to be the whole bicep.
I love it.
And just to be clear,
really
you got paid for this, so that's,
Yeah, this was during work hours.
I am infinitely jealous.
So jealous.
So obviously you've seen all 8 movies. I mean, I feel like because you're talking about the 8th, you obviously would have seen them all, but you pored over them more closely than we ever have. But when was the first time you saw, what was the first one you saw, and when was that, and then how did you see the rest of them?
I believe I saw the first one, maybe not when it came out, but soon after it did.
Okay.
And then I saw the rest of them probably in order, except for maybe 4. I probably glossed over 4, and then I was like, oh my God, The Rock's in Fast 5. And then and then went in on 5 again.
Have you seen them a lot? Aside from your careful, meticulous devotion to these in the hallowed halls of Bloomberg, how many times have you seen these movies sort of by choice in your daily life?
If you total them all together, maybe 50, 60 times.
Okay.
By now.
Okay.
Mostly the first. I've seen this. I can't stop watching the second when it's just on somewhere.
Agreed.
5 a bunch of times. Furious 7 I might have seen the second most besides the first one, because I think it's my second favorite, I think. Yeah, I've seen them a lot. It's one of the things that becomes a running joke in your life and you just kind of stick with it.
Yeah, we understand.
Yeah, we get it. That sort of transitions to the next question then. If you had to rank them, how would you rank them? And it doesn't have to be definitive order, but if you which ones you like more than the rest, or if you do have a definitive order, we'd love to hear that too.
I like the first one the most, but I'm pretty sure that's more just nostalgia.
Yep.
Not that I like it more than the others, it's just what makes me feel the most emotion when I see it. But maybe, okay, let's go 1, 5, 7, 6. I'm not going to put 8 in there yet because I'm not sure.
Okay.
Then 2, 3, 4. Yeah.
Okay. Is 8 close to the top, or where would 8 roughly fall on that list?
8's probably above Too Fast and below 6. Yeah.
Okay.
Near the bottom. Near
the bottom.
In the middle-ish somewhere, yeah.
Yeah, middle to bottom.
All right.
Okay.
Because this is a movie that, I every time I talk about, we even talked about it in the little intro segment that we just recorded before you joined us, that, I've got different problems with this movie every time I watch it. We did a whole podcast about Charlize Theron, and I was like, oh man, Charlize crossing over with my favorite franchise, this is going to be great. I don't love her in this movie. I don't like Dom Against the Family. This time around, Joe, I sort of teased at the beginning, I don't like the editing of a lot of this movie.
Oh, you don't?
Early on when they're breaking out of that German facility, right? And they're all in different cars, they're all talking to each other. It feels so disconnected from each other. It feels like they were not recording those at all together. It feels to me, it reminds me of when we went down to Orlando to the Supercharged ride, and we're like, oh,
yes.
These are all just ludicrous in a sound booth, or in a green screen. Yeah.
Yeah.
It feels like that. It feels like a lot of this movie, and maybe it's just because they're big names now and they're bigger than ever before, but it just feels like there's more of this where they're not together. There's obviously still the shots where the family is together, but I feel like this time around my problem was it just feels pieced together and not in a cohesive way, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I can see that.
There's a lot of weird slow-mo shots in this one too. I don't think I really noticed it the first time, and I'm just what why?
Yeah.
It wasn't even like a consequential scene. It's just like a bullet falling to the ground. Like, all right, cool.
I just was about to bring that up. That's the one that I remember too. Like when they're driving on the ice, I was watching it this time, and I saw that bullet fall in slow motion with like the smoke coming out of it, and I was like, were you guys just playing with CGI, or is like that necessary? Like this is something that wasn't part of the thing. We've definitely seen them like shift in editing and touches like that. Justin Lin, when he came on, he like definitely had his own directorial touches. Then when I was watching this one, I was like, oh, we're kind of bringing that back, but with a different flair. And I vividly remember the exact thing that you're talking about. Yeah,
it's almost like they're trying to make the movie cool with those slow-mo, but like the movie's already cool. Like you have crazy action, you've got great characters, you've got big actors that we all love. Like you don't have to ramp up the cool by resorting to like sort of Hollywood-ish cliches.
Yeah.
F. Gary Gray never did one of these movies before. I think James Wan did a good job following up after Justin Lin did 3 through 6. And I think Justin Lin's coming back maybe for 9 and 10. And we were just talking about before about how David Leitch is going to do Hobbs and Shaw, which I am super ecstatic for because I think he's a great director. But it's just this one just doesn't work in different ways for me. And I feel like maybe one time I'll be able to watch it and it'll all come together for me. But until then, I'm going to be still finding little things to just not really be crazy about.
Yeah, I don't think it's ever going to get there.
It's a bummer.
You don't think so?
It's a bummer, man.
What if 9 comes out and it's just like we're like, oh god, we wish you could have just had 8 again.
Oh man, yeah, I guess that's probably possible. It's just like you don't need those little flourishes when you're already like blowing up a submarine. Like you got the action already.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Now, Kim, before we talk about this movie in particular, specifically about this movie, we've got some either-or questions, really the lightning round, that we want to sort of get a sense of who you are in this world. Are you ready for these?
Oh, I am so ready for these.
Are you more of a Brian or a Dom?
Brian.
Okay.
Cool. I feel like most people are Brian. Walt surprised us by saying he's a Dom, but, most people I think are a Brian, so...
Well, it's a Dom. He's definitely...
I think that there's like a disqualifier. Like if you say you're Dom, you're probably not Dom, but you'd also not say you're Brian, so it's kind of weird. I don't know.
Yeah,
you'd say like I'm neither, I'm me. That would be it.
And that would be definitely Dom. Exactly.
I'm no Denise.
Yeah.
Are you more a Mia or a Letty?
Oh, definitely a Mia.
Okay.
I am nowhere cool enough to be Letty.
Roman or a Tej?
Oh, Roman.
Okay.
Yeah, my friends make fun of me about that all the time because I'm so loud. And like, if we were doing like a heist or something, I would definitely be the distraction person.
Ooh, okay, cool.
Ooh.
So if we had to sneak in to steal a car off of a skyscraper in the Middle East, I would that'd be me.
Sing Happy Birthday.
That would be me singing Happy Birthday.
Joe, we've not been asking our guests, but Kim, this is the first question. The first time we're going to ask this question.
I think I know where you're going.
Do you have a favorite character?
Do I have a favorite character?
Yeah.
My favorite character is Roman. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I love Roman too. I'm a big Roman fan. He's one of my favorite characters, if not my favorite, so I agree.
It's like, yes, it's comic relief, but then he gets that moment in Fate where he shoots those guys off of snowmobiles with a gun, and I popped big in the theater. I was so excited.
I've talked about like past times we've talked about this movie. I've said how I don't like Roman in this movie because I feel like he was such a good character in 2 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7, and then here he feels like a caricature. This time around he didn't bother me as much, but like I feel like that's just like a super badass. Like I've never had a problem with that, where he's just like, the time for messing around is behind me now. I need to take care of this business and like use the the Lamborghini door or whatever car he's in to slam a guy in the face, take his gun, and shoot 3 other guys. Like, it's awesome.
Yeah, you can't get more badass than that, I don't think.
He does get most of his character development out in the second movie where he has the most screen time, but yeah, he evolves a little bit.
Are you more of a Deckard or an Owen Shaw?
Oh god, I'm not cool enough to be Statham, so let's say Owen.
You're Owen, okay.
Okay.
I feel like that's a lot of these questions, like the Dom or Brian, Mia or Letty, Deckard or Owen, are all sort of similar. Like, are you, like, how alpha are you? And I feel like for most of the thing, like you were saying before, Joe, like if you say you are, you're probably not. So Deckard is just he's so cool. So
unless you're fake alpha, like Roman is, he's a wannabe alpha, but he's never gonna get there.
You mean double alpha?
Yeah,
double alpha.
Yeah, from Furious 7, right? Double alpha. Okay.
Fun fact: my best man said that in his speech. Double alpha man candy.
That's
saying.
Awesome.
Was it a Fast and Furious reference, or did he just happen to use the same?
No, it was a real Fast and Furious reference.
Perfect.
In his
Oh my God, that's
speech
even
at
better.
my wedding. It was amazing.
That's even
I had
better.
one friend get married, and the best man at his, it was either the best man or the officiant at his wedding, because the officiant was like a friend. Their entire speech was all like Braveheart themed, and I was like, man, like I wish that when I get married, I have someone who knows me well enough to like pepper in like either like Nicolas Cage references or Fast and Furious, you know what I mean? Just like not to ruin
Yeah.
the day, but like to just sort of pay respect to like a good friend and like what they love. So that is, that's the mark of a true best man. So I think you picked right, Kim. Okay, American Muscle or imports?
American Muscle.
Oh man, everybody loves the muscle.
Except for Austin.
They do.
Yeah, everybody except for Austin. Yep. All right. Corona or Belgian ale?
Corona.
All right.
Yeah.
Are you more? This is again. I feel like this might come into the Roman category. We'll see. Are you more of a racer or a designer?
Racer.
Oh,
Need
okay.
the glory. Gotta be on camera. Yeah.
That's what somebody else said too, right? They were like, you need to do the things so that like people see you
Yeah.
and you win or something. Yeah.
All right, Kim. If you had won $10 or $11 million, or maybe you had on that $4 million diamond that you get to wear on invitation only, they just happened to walk out of the store with it, and you had $4 million in your pocket. Would you bet it all on red or on black?
Red.
Okay.
Red.
It just seems like a more exciting color.
I teeter. Like, if you asked me this question, I could have been like confident that I answered black one time, and then I'll be like,
Yeah.
no, definitely red. Why would I have ever picked black last time?
Yeah, I'm not sure, Joe.
back
We're
and
gonna
forth.
have to figure this out for the next episode, though, when we do our real app recap, because we've not answered these questions, Kim. So I mean, we have to
True.
let the fans know exactly who we are, as though hours and hours of us talking weren't enough to let them know who we are.
You gotta let him know. You gotta tell him.
Gotta tell them. Okay, I have a little bit of a different wording than we've been giving for this, but okay. You're behind the wheel of a car. Would you rather have to race down a plane that's about to take off and ride into that plane, or would you rather be shot out of the plane like Roman is in Furious 7?
Am I being shot out on my
Either
is
way,
someone else shooting me out, or am I driving out of the plane?
You're driving
can
out
do either
unless
or.
you're afraid to drive out. Either way, you're leaving the plane.
Okay, but if I'm not afraid to drive out, I can just drive out without
Yeah.
someone opening a
Yeah,
parachute
you can full Brian
and
it.
all that
Exactly.
abruptness. Okay, yeah, I would jump out of the plane. Yeah.
Do you think the word oil is one syllable or two syllables?
I'm just gonna say it and then see what happens. Oil. It's two. It's two syllables.
Beautiful. Thank you. And I have
Okay.
one last question that I got for this movie, okay?
I got a new one for this one. I got a new one for this round. I was inspired.
Well, I have one for
Do
this
yours
round.
first.
Okay. Would you rather be rescued from icy water or from a fiery explosion?
Ooh.
Because at the end of this movie, Roman gets rescued from underwater by Tej,
Mm-hmm.
and Dom
Yeah.
gets saved by the entire family from the fiery explosion of the submarine.
I'd rather get saved from the fiery explosion.
Cool.
I got one. Okay, so this is my new one. You inspired it earlier. If you were running a distraction like Roman and you had to sing a song, what would your go-to song be?
My go-to song would absolutely be Seal's "Kiss from a Rose."
Ooh.
Thank you. Great song. Excellent choice. That's beautiful. I love Batman. I love Seals. I listen to that song a lot. So
Joe, that's a great question.
Did you like that
I do.
question? Good. I thought you would like that one. Okay.
Cool. Well, Kim, I appreciate that. Later in the episode, we are going to play our which Fast and Furious character are you quiz that we found online, so we'll know definitively if you are a Roman or not. But for now, those are great questions. We appreciate your answers to the hardest hitting questions you might answer all day. So thank you for that.
Easily the hardest hitting.
All right, so now to talk about Fate of the Furious, we'll kick things off. Kim, if you had to say, in this movie, what would you say is the most family moment? The moment that you think defines either the moment or the line or the action or the scene or whatever that you think most defines what it means in this universe when we say family.
Because this is our family lab,
This is the
so we were
family
just
lab.
like focusing on family.
Yeah, I think the obvious answer is the end scene. It's the only real full family scene of the whole film at the very end, because you get introed to them while they're on a mission already, which is more team than family, you know.
Yep.
Yeah.
But maybe it's Letty's line. You're gonna turn your back on family when Vin Diesel shows back up. You know, Dom. They see him for the
okay.
first time again after he betrayed them, and then
Yeah.
she says that line, and you're like, oh right, yeah, they really care about each other.
Yeah, and Letty's like still focused on all of the family when she's like, "You're gonna turn your back on all of us." I like that. That's a good one. I didn't think about that one.
I also like that's a little bit of not hypocritical on Letty's part, but like she just got her memory back, and she's like, "How are you?
She just raced her memory.
How are you
going
to betray the family? Like, Letty, you haven't been part of the family really for like 4 movies. Like, let's pump the brakes a little bit on the criticism. Doctor, heal thyself.
Yeah, right.
Physician, heal thyself first." But no, those are 2 really good choices. Joe, what do you have for most family moment in Fate of the Furious?
For me, it's obvious when Dom like kind of saves them at the end and like stops like the bullets and stuff like that. But I was thinking this time the most family moment for me was he and Letty are there, and she's like something about like being hungry, and he's like, "You know what, honey? You stay in bed. I'll go to the store. I'm gonna go get groceries for us." And I was like, it's a very cute little family moment.
A baguette
you know
and
what
a
I mean?
rose.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like a tender, like a familial thing you would do for somebody that you loved in your family. So I was like, oh, that's really cool.
That's great. You know, I'm going to pick a moment. I don't know if it's the most family moment, but it's definitely a very family moment.
Okay.
Right after that, it's after Cipher has sort of intercepted Dom on the streets of Havana and is like, "You're going to work for me." Shows on the phone. We don't see what's on the phone, but we see it's Elena and a baby. Dom goes against the family, right? My pick for the most family moment is very early on. We don't know what he's doing in the moment, but when he adds that tracking chip to his necklace, it's like these are the seeds of the, the escape plan, the revenge plan against Cipher, right? Like I'm going to have to do some bad things, but before we even get started, true to my family, and this is how I'm going to save the people I care about the most. Use this however I need to use it. So I think that's foresight and love, and, I know I have to do some bad things, but in my heart...
It's a little family planning.
Ooh, I like that a lot. Now, Kim, on the other side of that coin, it might be obvious. Let's set aside Dom's heel turn here. What would you say is the least family moment in this movie, aside from the obvious of Dom just becoming evil?
Yeah, I think there's a couple here, and they all involve the same thing, and that's forgiving Deckard, because he killed Han, man. That's
justice for Han.
Yeah.
Justice
it's
for
definitely
Han.
justice for Han. It's every moment that they just totally forget that. I get that The Rock, by the way, Hobbs isn't as close with them or with Han, so he feels this kindred connection to Deckard. So when they have their little bro moment underneath as they're picking up that engine and they smile at each other, and then at the end, I get that, but it's everyone else who, justice for Han.
Yeah, justice for Han, man. I agree.
I think you told us that you had listened to a previous episode. Are you aware? Do you remember our theory about Hobbs, that we're hoping that he's a gay character?
Yeah. I listened to that one.
Do you think? Do you see that? Or do you think that's crazy? Do you think that's possible, I guess is a better way of asking that.
I think it is possible, but I also don't think that they would ever admit it.
Okay.
In the same way that in Fantastic Beasts it's alluded to over and over again with Dumbledore, but they never say it.
Okay. Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
Just because, do you think it would, why not? Because it would alienate middle America?
I don't know. These are such testosterone-fueled movies. Mm-hmm. They haven't gone too far off the traditional path of action movie. There's only, yes, it's more diverse than most movies out there, mostly racial diversity and gender, but it's that other front that they should, and I think Hobbs would be an awesome gay character, but I just don't trust them to do it, basically.
And rewatching this movie, I feel like the movies are just becoming more and more asexual as they go on. In this movie, we have
some shots at Ramsey.
Well, yeah, Roman and Tej are hitting on Ramsey relentlessly in this movie. But aside from that, you see bodies.
We lost Gal.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like that relationships, and especially now that Brian and Mia aren't part of it, it feels like relationships aren't front and center anymore, and sex isn't front and center anymore. So I feel like adding in any kind of new sexual dynamic might not make sense given the trajectory of the series, potentially. I don't know.
What if we make it to 10, and then in the very last scene, they're like, "We're glad we're still family," and then Hobbs looks at us and goes, "And this is my boyfriend," and winks.
And then the movie
it's just
ends?
for us.
And then the franchise
Yeah,
ends?
he's just talking to us. They had been listening to Too Fast, Too Forever the whole time, and they just give us a little nod at the end of the movie.
And he says, "This is my boyfriend," and it's the both of us on screen.
Oh, yes, that's the best. That's my ultimate dream of what happens.
That would be great.
And he's just holding both of us in a headlock. Just under his massive arms. I would be so excited.
And all of America's like, who the fuck are these two guys?
Yeah, I don't remember those characters at all.
All right,
That's
Joe,
what I can dream.
what is your pick for the least family moment in Fate of the Furious?
I think the least family moment, which is kind of a most family moment in its reality, is when Helen Mirren is crying about that Decker doesn't want to take Owen with him on the mission, and he's like, "Fine, I'll take him." And then she's like, "Okay, thanks," because like the least family moment is that he doesn't want to take his brother.
Right.
But it's also so realistic that you like don't want to bring your little brother with you that like it's kind of both for me. But that's what I was thinking
Although,
this time.
is it realistic that he wouldn't want to bring him because he just like killed dozens of hospital employees to get to his brother, and then he flew to Tokyo to kill someone he had never met to avenge his brother? Like,
No, he loves his brother. He just doesn't want to like
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you can love your sibling and then also not want to hang out with them.
yeah.
Yeah, and he thinks his brother's gonna mess up because he just messed up a few times. So he's like, "Oh,
Exactly.
come on, he just did that, and now I had to save him." And
Exactly. That's what I was saying. So it's like it's so real, but it's so like, oh, that sucks. Like it's his little brother, man. You should take him with you.
You know, while we're talking about Deckard, before I get to my least moment, I really am excited for, like, this watching got me even more excited for Hobbs and Shaw, because I feel like there's more backstory to Deckard than there is to most of the newer characters. Like, we found out in the last movie about how, like, you know, he did all this different stuff, that they tried to, like, take him out, and he took out, like, these 30 guys that got sent to him.
And he's essentially like a Navy SEAL or whatever
Yeah.
the British equivalent of that is.
This movie, he got the British Cross, which is, like, the highest award honored. Like, you know, it's just, like,
Yep.
he's got this history that we don't really know at all.
We honestly don't know Hobbs's either.
Right, and I think
So
that's cool. Like, we feel like we know these guys, but we don't really.
I'm fully with you. I'm really stoked for Hobbs and Shaw, and I think they can do a lot with it. Like, it's very open-ended. More so than if you were like, let's talk about Tyrese's backstory.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yep. Let me think what my least family moment would be. I mean, it's so hard that so much of this movie, so much of like what I don't like about this movie is what I've basically made it that we can't choose. Like, everything Dom does is just terrible. I'm struggling here. Let me think on it and
help
come
you.
back. But yeah, so while I think about that, Kim, what do you like? What are your overall thoughts about this movie? Like, it's not one of your favorites, but like, what do you like about it? What do you wish they did differently? Do you think, like, could Charlize come back for future movies? Like, what is your sense of like what's new about this? What you like, what you don't like, so on and so forth.
easily the thing I dislike most about this movie was Cipher. And the character and what she did and what her motivations are and her...
what is her motivation? I still
who
can't
knows?
figure it out.
She was like, "I need a nuke to threaten things," and then that was kind of it. I draw a parallel to her with the Timothy Olyphant's character in the fourth Die Hard movie, Live Free or Die Hard.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's like a hacker, right? And he's trying to steal money essentially. But he has a way to, he has something that he's shooting for. It's like, what's she gonna do with this? I don't know. No one knows. Why do we care
Yeah.
if we don't know?
And we also don't know if she actually lives or not, because she just like falls off the plane. I'm thinking now that they're setting this up to be like a sequel. Like 9 will still involve her
I hope so.
and be kind of like finish this story of like what she was trying to do, what globally she was trying to accomplish. Because if not, then this movie just is totally written off. It's like even more disconnected than Tokyo Drift at this point. If Cipher just comes in and like disappears and she's gone, like it just has no place in this world.
Even like Tokyo Drift's disconnect is more like a side story disconnect than anything. This is the main story of Fast and Furious.
We talked about how, like, Chris Morgan, who's written the last handful of movies, wrote this one too. I'm not saying that like these movies have ever been like the best written movies of the year, but they've always had characters that make sense and have motivation, and like it just doesn't feel in line with his writing to have such a vague character that isn't going to be paid
That's
off
what
at
I'm
some
saying.
point. Yeah.
We have to have something out there. The truth is out there, Joey.
I wrote down this time, like, all of her lines are just like, "Get ready for this, tap, 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 tap." And it's just like, then she just does some, like, weird shit with cars. Like, it's just, not, like, she doesn't have any menace. Like, it's just empty threats.
But is it her acting too in this? Because like she seems like she really phoned this one in. I don't know if they were telling her to play like hacker and kind of like disconnected, or if she just like totally checked out for this movie.
There's a totally absurd scene in the last the long Russia sequence with the ice chase and everything, where they're like hacking back and forth over the submarine, I think, and it's Ramsey and her, and it's just one of them says something into their computer, and then the other one says something, and back and forth and back and forth. Oh, so thrilling. Everything else is like a fight, like a fist fight, and guns are going off and explosions, and they're just typing real fast.
They're just on Mavis Beacon, just like trying to get a high score.
You just gotta get that high score. So real quick, get a quick Tetris game in there as you're hacking a submarine.
I mean, I would love if they were actually playing Tetris, like they just pull a scene out of Office Space and just, Cipher just waiting and just playing Tetris, and
like the 2-player Tetris, like the one that they're like sending lines over back and forth.
Yeah,
pretty cool.
But
I like it.
I know that this sort of falls in line with what I was saying to avoid, but I think the least family moment is not Dom going evil, but Dom just letting Cipher kiss him in front of Letty. Like, that is, like, I know that she knows that something's up, but like, it's just devastating. We even saw when we did that Charlize clip show for Watch the Throne, we watched Charlize on, I think it was Ellen, right? She was talking to Vin, right? Ellen was talking to Vin about kissing Charlize, and Charlize said it was about, like, kissing a dead fish, and Vin got, like, he lost his mind. He's supposed to be, like, listless in that scene because he doesn't want to be doing that, but I just feel like...
Wasn't that his argument? He was like, I was kissing you in front of my, like, wife, girlfriend in the movie. Yeah. Like, I wasn't, like, trying to make out with you.
But that's just a really... I mean, the whole, like, him against Letty, especially after, like, for movies now, he's been, like, trying to build her trust back up, right? And, like, he remembers the life into her, and, you can't tell someone that they love you, and they're finally together, and then for him, 25 movie minutes later, kiss Cipher in front of her, it's just like, oh man, like, that's brutal. That's brutal stuff.
Yeah.
But I do like that she says in this movie, like, she's got a line, I think that's where, right after that scene where he kisses her, they stun grenade them and take the God's eye and leave. And she just says, that wasn't Dom. And, like, she remembers him. She knows him now. And she just knows that, like, that's not him. Like, that's not the guy that I love. So I think that's an important moment.
Vin makes pretty much one face in this whole movie. It's just, he's brooding, and he doesn't know what to do, and he's a little angry, but he doesn't want to let his rage out, because then the bad guy will do something to his family, so he just has a blank stare on for 2.5 hours. Like, it was so hard to get emotion out of him, because his character couldn't, therefore he was just kind of a boring bald guy.
The one time he does act up, Cipher kills Elena.
Yeah, and this is exactly what I was saying. Watching this movie this time, I was thinking, man, Vin Diesel's actually acting really well in this, like seeing him versus Charlize, where, like, his character in this moment would be precisely what he's doing. You know what I mean? So he's selling it in the sense that he is, like, brooding and has to be quiet and has, like, the same, like, stone face on the whole time. And it actually makes more sense than, like, us being like, oh, he was kind of lazy in this one or something. Like, it makes sense for the character.
Yeah, they just shouldn't have put the character in that situation to me.
Yeah, that's also a good point. Yeah, fair.
Because I was paying attention to him extra, I mean, because this is more of a movie about him than the family, because he goes against the family, but, last episode, Joe, we were just talking with Austin about when Dom looks worried, right? And about how, he doesn't know if these things are going to work or whatever, and I was trying to see if he shows those emotions here, but I think you're right, like, he's acting well in that, like, he can't show emotion, because if he shows emotion, things are going to go poorly for him, which they do over and over again in this movie.
Yep.
I mean, I just hope, and we said it last time and we said it before, like, I just want to see Cipher come back. Kim, do you think there's theories online about how she could be another Shaw sibling, or she could be related to Brian, or she could be this, or she could be that? Do you see any kind of, do you think it's likely that she's related to someone we know, or is she just sort of some external villain that hopefully they fill in the backstory later? Like, how do you see her, or do you see her fitting into the world at large any more than she already is in this movie?
I think they just keep going up the villain ladder, right? They trace her all the way back to, like, the 4th movie with the drug runners and everything. She's had dealings with the Shaws in the past, and it'll probably just keep going up from here. Like, who's her boss? And then so on, because they've been doing that for the entire time, yeah. It's just Putin, yeah.
It is like Putin has a cameo in the 9th movie. He's just like, it was me, and that's it.
They do go to a Russian separatist military base in
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking. I was like, he has to be the one she's answering to. He wants the nukes.
I need to start enjoying this movie. Otherwise, I think these are going to be the shortest episodes of any of the episodes, just because like I don't have things like I feel like I just keep venting my frustrations, and I don't want to keep ragging on this movie.
So tell me some fun things about this. What did you like this watch?
I liked Roman more this watch. I like that the story itself is super serious. That Dom is literally playing a game of life or death with his former lover and his new son.
Yeah.
And so I think you
True.
need to have Roman be a little bit more, even more over the top than normal. So I think that worked better here. I still just really, really, really love everything with Jason Statham, like the fight with the Rock in the beginning, and then also his entire plane rescue at the end with the baby. Like that's all just so
I think Jason Statham
good.
is really amazing in this one. I agree with that. The whole baby scene when he puts on the Chipmunks Christmas album,
Yep.
and you see his like more tame side, that's just perfect. I wish we would have seen more Owen in this situation together. You know what I mean? But like Owen just kind of like comes in the plane and disappears.
Well, I think that's like the surprise, right? Like we don't expect him to be here. So the fact that he's there at all, it's lacking in character just because like I feel like him being there is the moment, right? And then I also think that maybe by this point they thought they could maybe have like a Jason Statham spin-off and they want to focus on him more, so
Fair.
I can see
that
why
makes
they do
sense. I hope that we get more Owen in the spin-off.
That. Yeah.
And I think that they like kind of wasted us caring about him multiple times. They keep bringing him back, but not enough to be like, hey, he's important, you know?
Yeah. And I would also love to see Helen Mirren in the spin-off. Like, I want more of the...
She is, I thought.
I think so, too.
I thought we
Like,
were
just
talking
the
about
whole
that.
Shaw
She is.
family.
Yeah, so I think we're going to get that. They're probably going to give him a sister. Who's it going to be? It's going to be like... Oh, shit, what's her name?
No, they cast Claire Foy, right? Was it Claire Foy?
Oh,
No, they
that's
cast somebody. Hold on.
I keep imagining like a redheaded actress. I know you know who I'm thinking of, Joey, but I can't figure out her name.
Oh, it was Vanessa Kirby they cast from Mission Impossible, from The Crown. She's going to be the Shaw sister. She's a British actress.
Okay.
She's great. Who's the redhead that you're talking about?
I can't think of what she's in, and it's not Vanessa Kirby, but she fits too.
So what else about this movie, Kim, do you have like a strong feeling toward one way or the other? Because I feel like this is probably the most polarizing of the movies, I think. Like, I think two people sort of dislike a little bit more because it just sort of feels like a step down maybe from the first in a way. People don't like Tokyo Drift because it feels like a side story, and people don't like 4 in certain ways. But I feel like this of the rest of them, or maybe of all of them, this feels kind of like the most polarizing because it should be so great in terms of the budget, in terms of like the level of the story we're at, and it's just not. But you know, what else do you feel about this movie super strongly one way or the other?
I feel like the one-liners were better in this one. And like the Rock embraced his inner wrestler, and when he was delivering lines to Statham back and forth and things like that, he says "some bitch" twice. That's amazing.
I really want us to get to a point in these when he starts bringing back like full rockisms, right? Like I want him to do like, "Do you smell what I'm cooking?" But I think we're working our way towards that. And I hope that, like, in the next one, like in Hobbs and Shaw or something, we can get a little bit more of these. Like, I want, like, an eyebrow raise, all of these kind of things to come back.
All the set pieces in this are also pretty good. I mean, the submarine chase is great. You get to see The Rock push a torpedo. Like, that's bananas.
Yeah,
right?
with his hand. With his hand.
Yeah.
With his hand.
I mean, it's believable, right? No, the sets are great. You're absolutely right. I think so too. I think this has some of the best action in any of them.
The prison fight is just awesome. But again, that's just Statham and The Rock carrying all of that. With there's the rubber bullets thing where he gets shot a couple times and he just flexes and then picks someone up and tosses them. That's hilarious.
Rubber bullets.
Yeah.
Big mistake.
Big mistake.
It's so good. Like that whole, like the music in there, like outside of that scene, that music is probably the most annoying music in the world. But in that scene, it just fits it so perfectly. Like it's all just like that.
What was the music? I don't remember.
It's like
it.
that.
What was it?
Whatever. Like it's that like sort of rap, sort of electronic kind of hybrid-ish music.
Okay.
It just fits. It like it adds even more energy to like an incredibly energetic, maybe even the most energetic scene in the entire movie. Just, you know, so many fist fights. You know, we talked about last time Jason Statham like sliding from one level to another, like underneath a gate, like just crazy, ridiculous action.
Did this movie come out before or after the first Guardians. After, right?
Way after.
For sure.
It came out after both Guardians, I think.
Because it reminds me of the scene of the prison fight scene in Guardians, now that I think about it, right?
Yeah, a little bit. I think there's like a long history of like great prison fight scenes. Like there's this movie called Starred Up. Have either of you seen it, Kim? Do you know Starred Up? It's like this Australian movie. It is so badass. Like I feel like just prison movies in general, like if you can like stomach the general usual bleakness of the setting, like they just can have like the most brutal fight scenes. I mean, there's a great fight scene in prison in Face Off.
Yeah.
You know, in the Guardians scene that you're talking about is a great one. Like there's just something about like that raw masculine energy caged
But I
up.
was talking just specifically about like the leveling and like traveling up and down using the Z-axis.
Sure.
You know,
That's a good call.
what I was.
I like that.
Yeah.
In terms of set pieces too, if you go back, I'm just looking at the racing time from the first 7 movies because I spent so much damn time calculating. In 7, there's only 33 seconds of racing time. There's 3.5 minutes in 6, and there's 1 minute in 5. And in 4, there's like 5 minutes, and before that, it's 15. Going all the way back to 5, just a second race in the middle of these movies to accomplish something with the plot and move it forward would be a great beat for them. I know the stakes are so high when we're talking about nuclear submarines and things like that, but there's got to be a way it doesn't have to be like a street race, but something where you have to get to another point faster than someone else.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah. I also miss, we've talked about this, I also miss that we're starting to wash out the street racing. And I would like them to bring it back to more so than like a nod to Race Wars and the 7th one. I want them to bring back to where the little street race they have with Brian and Han and Roman and Tej when they're like all in the police cars.
Yeah.
And they like even race for like, you know, the $1 million or whatever.
Yeah.
Like I want to see another one of these kind of things, and so we can get another race in there because I think mandatory. You should probably have 2 races in these.
Because in this
there
movie,
should be at least 2 races.
We have the Havana race, right? Which is incredible.
It's a long race too.
Is there another race?
No,
the like the chasing the submarine kind of.
And chasing Dom in New York, kind of. But that's what you broke down, I think, right, Kim? Like racing versus chasing, right? Like that's chasing. That's not really
that's
racing.
chasing.
Which, because like there is cool car stuff. Like them driving on the ice is cool, literally and metaphorically. But it's not what we came to these movies for. Like I think there is, you know, Joe, what you were saying before about like how they're sort of going away from racing. Like I think there's kind of a cool. I know that you want to see it, but like there's something cool about like when they are in Rio in Fast 5, they're like, we need fast cars, and then we cut to them rolling the cars back into the garage. Like I know that I want to see that race, but I think there's something cool about like, oh no, like we know these guys are going to win. You know what I mean? Like I feel like there needs to be a way to add in a race or something. I don't know, but yeah.
Like we need a fast car to beat the camera, and then in Rio, right? And they keep they're practicing inside. Like that's street racing adjacent, even though they're not really racing. Yeah.
There are probably. I mean, we were talking about last episode with Austin about how the plane scene where they're jumping cars out of the plane is maybe what he thinks is like the they can't go better than that. They can't go bigger than that. Like that's like the ultimate thing they can do. I mean, there's huge action set pieces in here. I don't know where you go from here. I mean, they literally blow up a nuclear submarine with its own missile. Cool. Like I don't know where you go other than space. Like where does this franchise go from here with another at least 2 movies? Like I feel like Hobbs and Shaw might be a different, more action, less driving. But like we have 2 more movies, like core franchise movies. Like where could we go from here?
Space is the one everyone's talking about, right? So that's bound
said they're
to
not gonna
happen.
do it, though.
Like it's, I mean, come on, just for a second. It doesn't have to be a whole a whole space station kind of thing. But let's see, planes. You got all the like the big convoy motorcade stuff. You could make even bigger. The through the mountains motorcade where they parachute down onto it. I guess you could make the motorcade something really. There happens to be a motorcade in like 3 straight movies.
Yeah,
so,
there is.
So they're gonna keep doing that. Other kinds of vehicles, I guess, but it's the coolness of the cars that's what really makes people come to see these movies, so they can see fast driving and not someone driving a submarine around or like a Navy destroyer or whatever, you know,
or fighter jets.
Yeah, suddenly Ludacris knows how to fly a fighter jet. Like that could probably happen.
We've definitely talked about this before, that he just like has learned everything really quickly. But have we actually gotten to the point where the audience is coming to see them drive, because I think that we're losing that the audience no longer is coming to see them drive fast cars. They're coming to see beautiful people, action stuff that might involve cars. But like when we first started out, we definitely were like, okay, like we're going to see these movies because we want to see like fast cars and like these guys driving crazy and doing cool car stuff. And I think that they're trying to like essentially leave the car stuff behind.
But they're leaving the street racing behind. So I'm looking at these numbers, and 6 and 7 have 30 minutes of chasing time. Now, the first movie has a total of 19 minutes of both racing and chasing. Mm-hmm. So that has more car stuff than any movie so far. It's just, it's not street race. It's only the 30-second street race.
What's the division of time versus runtime, though?
Oh, well, so the first movie is like an hour 45. The 6th and 7th are probably each about 2 hours and 10 minutes. I still think you're adding in half an hour, but you're also adding 10 or 11 minutes of car time. Like, I think the ratio is still higher in the new ones. Like, there's more movie, but I think the ratio is still higher, too.
That's what I was trying to figure out.
Yeah, just in 6 and 7. Before that, it was not nearly as high.
You know what I really want to... Are there any rumblings at Bloomberg to update those numbers for Fate and Beyond, or no?
Not yet. But who knows?
Hopefully these movies go on forever.
I volunteer as tribute.
Yes,
by the way,
we could do that.
First of all, if you give us the rules, we could make it happen for you if you need.
Just give us a byline
if you need the numbers.
Yeah,
we don't need to be anything else than that, but we can provide the numbers.
Trust me. The rules are on here, and they're so damn specific.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm
gonna read one more, real quick. One more. Male bicep time. This tally captures all instances in which one or more bare male bicep muscles is visible on screen. A muscle is considered visible only if the character is shirtless, disrobing, or wearing a sleeveless shirt. This is a highly restrictive counting methodology since biceps are often visible on characters in close or loose-fitting shirts. Included here is a brief shot of a televised broadcast of the Incredible Hulk featuring a shirtless Lou Ferrigno.
So like Hobbs in jail when he ripped his sleeves off, that would be bicep.
Only once he rips his
sleeves off. Okay.
When he's sleeved, it doesn't count. But once they're off.
What I love about the description of that is that you read like one sentence. It's like, cool, I understand exactly what this is. And then you have like another 2 sentences of like increasingly specific measurements for these.
Yeah, because you're like, but what about? And you're like, no, they got it. They covered it. They know every possible outcome of this.
Did you have anybody claim that you were inaccurate on any of these? Like, did you have any like super fans or just internet people in general that were like, I actually counted a different number of bicep or a different amount of bicep time?
Now, who the hell is going to take the time to fact check that? Like,
hey man, they're out there. People are out.
What was like the feedback on this? Where people were like, thanks, I was wondering that, or like, how was it received? Like on the back end.
This thing got nominated for a Dataviz award.
That's awesome.
People love this thing because the methodology it is really specific, but there's still so many debatable things in here of when something starts, when something stops, and what constitutes garage time versus hideout time, and does the NOS harpoon count as a use of NOS or only for a speed boost? What about the NOS that causes an explosion or forcibly ejects a passenger door? Or do you count a double boost when they hit 2 NOS buttons at the same time? Like,
is that 1 or 2
Or
boosts?
what about the can of NOS that Brian's drinking out of that he drops the tracker chip into? Does that count as NOS?
Like what counts? So it's pretty impossible to to do unless it's the same exact people doing it again, having gone through it.
What was the inspiration? Like, who sat down and was like, you know what? I think we should do this. Can you take me into the behind the scenes of how we got here?
I'm not sure exactly how this started because one day someone on Dataviz, Mark Glassman, came over and was like, hey, we're working on this Fast and Furious thing. I know you're the pop culture reporter. Would you like to work on it with us? And I was like, hell yeah. And we had done the same kind of thing with Star Wars before, a year prior, so I think it was 2016, that everyone loved that one. and we decided to go in on Fast and Furious. Who knows what's next? Maybe we'll do another.
I would be really excited if you did, because I thoroughly enjoy it.
It would be a lot more work because there's a lot more movies, but with Avengers Endgame coming up, like I feel like that could be. But I don't know what you because
they're so long.
They're so
many of them.
wildly different too. Like I don't know what's remarkable about these movies and also the Star Wars movies is that like they tell such a variety of stories, but they're all in their core very similar. Like I feel like I guess there's also a ton more of those, but like you could maybe do something Bond related because those are all more sort of tightly grouped than like the Marvel movies.
I think we did that too.
Okay,
I really did. I think we did a whole. Oh, we did. Yeah, we did a whole Bond one. Yeah, because they're so great. It's consistent. It's consistent enough that there was once a formula and it's been tweaked. It hasn't been totally jettisoned for something else.
Yeah,
that's really cool.
Very cool.
I'm very thankful that you had the insight in this because we use it as a reference guide a lot and like as just canon to like come back to, and we're like, well, how many times did they do? And we just use that as our starting point. So.
Yeah, some of them are really hard. Like time a gun is wielded is really hard. It's the things where they keep going from shot to shot, and like, do you count a tank turret? It's all this stuff.
I mean, so that's the question. Do you count a tank turret?
We did count a tank turret, and we only counted the drone while it was armed.
Okay. Important distinction.
So when it wasn't armed, it wasn't a weapon until
Fair.
Now, was this the kind of project? Did you ever have a point while doing this, while watching these movies frame by frame, where you like started to hate these movies? Because we kind of worry at some point in this podcast that we're going to get to a point where like I can't watch another one of these movies. Like, did you get to a point?
Is there like a bad lap? Like did everybody hit like 7 watches and they're like, I can't do this anymore, and they just like all walk out of the room or something?
No, it would have. I think it would have been a lot harder to watch these alone because we did do it in a group of 3, so there's always something to talk about. So as long as you guys keep talking about it with each other on this podcast, then I think you won't get super sick of it.
Okay. Cool.
If you just watch it like in a vacuum and just over and over and over again, or frame by frame by yourself in a room, I don't want to do that. Nope.
Yeah, no, neither do we. I mean, we've heard because the podcast network started out. We've told the story before that it started out with just me and my one friend, resident historian Mike Manzi. We were just doing Nicolas Cage movies, and like we saw that there were a couple other Nicolas Cage podcasts, but we're like they're all mostly dormant. We're just going to do our thing and not really worry about it. And it sort of branched out from there. And we kind of got to a point where we don't really care if there's other ones that do it, as long as there's not like one of the most popular podcasts in the world that does it. But when Joe and I had the idea for this one, we're like, oh, nobody's ever done this before. And then like I'm watching the first movie for the first time we're going to record. And I'm just like, let me just take a look. And I was like, God damn it. Like there's more than one. But like what we've heard is that like they all began to hate the movies pretty quickly. And like we're nowhere near that yet.
No, I'm nowhere near that.
I think a smart thing that we're doing maybe is having people like you and Walt and other guests on to just sort of be able to talk about the movies, like the franchise as a whole, and kind of get your perspective on all the movies as opposed to just me and Joe talking about Fate of the Furious again for the 2nd time or the 8th time or whatever.
I mean, you're covering a lot of ground. People, if you have a podcast about one single film where you're going through every single scene over and over and over again, then you just run out of material, right? But look, this and they're coming out with new ones, so there we go.
Exactly. So we can we're really hyped for Hobbs and Shaw. We got at least 2 more of these. They're gonna go to space. We got time.
Joe, we got nothing but time. Got us.
Thank you. I alley-ooped that one for you so bad.
To say it, yes. I just had the idea that if we ever get tired of these movies and don't want to do the movies in the format that we're doing that, we could, just like Star Wars Minute, do like the Fast and Furious Minute. And instead of doing a movie per episode, we could do like a daily podcast, like still record the same amount of work or same amount of time, but like spend 10 or 15 minutes talking about 1 minute of the movie at a time. You know what I mean? Like there's different ways to break these down.
I like
that we've got endless amounts of opportunity to talk about these movies.
That's a great idea. I like it.
We got nothing but time and nothing but ideas for these movies.
Kim makes a good point too. I often wind up like if I'm watching these again, even like to prep for this, that I'll be watching with Rachel or my friends will be over and I'll be like, oh yeah, I need to watch like Fast 5 for tomorrow so we can record. And like so I'm always watching it kind of more in a group anyways. So it makes it a lot easier for me. I think that it gives you something new to talk about and you can kind of steal their perspectives too.
Yeah. Kim, do you have any other thoughts about Fate of the Furious before we get on to our games and we find out what character you are and do a couple other things?
No, I think we're good.
Well, I'm going to, before we start playing the game, I'm going to email you 3 different pictures in the same email that are visual components for the quiz.
Okay.
We are writing our own quiz. We have 8 questions.
Yeah, we're currently tweaking this.
Yes, we're gonna write a couple more, and we're gonna play test it a bunch and try to get a more comprehensive, a more in depth, a wider range of characters. But right now, we're gonna play the quiz on Zimbio.com. Which Fast and Furious character are you? Here we go. All right, Kim. First things first. How fast do you like to go? NASCAR, roller coaster, Vespa.
Roller coaster.
Second thing second, how furious are you? Hulk, Sam Kinison, noted comedian who hates women, apparently. Thank you, Austin, for clarifying that.
Austin.
Or Furious Styles from Boys in the Hood.
Let's do Hulk.
Ooh, okay.
Sometimes you get angry.
Okay.
Who would you risk your life for? Family, friends, anyone, or no one?
Let's do anyone.
Wow.
Oh, good answer.
So you're super
I don't think
angry, but also super giving.
Yeah.
Interesting combination.
You know? It depends on whether you anger me or not. Like,
well, hopefully we are still, I mean, I know that, as Hulk you are angry all the time, but hopefully, the sun's getting real low, big guy, and hopefully we're calming you down. All right, Kim, choose a one-liner. Why don't you just pack it up before I leave tread marks on your face? I'm a boy who appreciates a good body regardless of the make. When are you going to give Martin Luther King his car back? He's like gravity. Everything just gets pulled to him. There's never nothing. There's always something. Ride or die.
ride or die.
That's what I think too. Okay. Someone you have a crush on is standing over there. What will you do? Nothing. Let them come to me. I'm going over there. Stand here and stare at them. I'm out of here.
Go over there and sing them a birthday song.
Ooh, like Kiss from a Rose?
Oh, yeah. Kiss from a Rose.
All right, this is going to be the first picture that I want you to look for. Choose your ride. So find the picture of the cars. 2010 Alfa Romeo Giulietta, 2009 Dodge Challenger SRT8, Plymouth Roadrunner, Gurkha LAPV, or 2010 Koenigsegg CCXR.
I'm going to do that Challenger.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, very, very popular pick.
Which of these opposites do you tend toward, positive or negative?
Positive.
How do you feel about lying? I'm a big liar. I lie sometimes, no big deal. If I do lie, I feel bad about it forever. Call me Honest Abe.
Sometimes, no big deal.
How do you say goodbye to someone you love? Remember them every day? Turn your back and walk away? Pour your 40 out? You don't.
Turn your back and walk away.
I really like that the first two have to rhyme.
I know.
It sounds like we're getting into something, and then it's like, or pour your 40 out.
Every time, I think the third and fourth one are going to rhyme, and they don't, and it bothers me every
They
time.
do. I know. It really. We have to add that. Could we make a mental note to do that in our quiz at some point?
Okay.
Like to have like 3 answers that rhyme and then one that just like doesn't make any sense.
I also kind of want to do a quote from these movies that we could add to that, because I do like that. I don't know where all those quotes are from necessarily, but I like having something directly ripped from these movies in the quiz.
Fair.
Okay, Kim, second picture, find the action hero one. Choose an action hero. John Kimball, wrong picture, from Kindergarten Cop. John Matrix from Commando. James Carter from Rush Hour. Nikita from La Femme Nikita. John Rambo. Or The Rock as Hercules.
It's The Rock as Hercules. That movie was fabulous.
I have not seen it. I need to. Maybe we'll do that for our rock lap. Our pit stop rock.
Yeah, rock on.
Kim, what's your favorite article of clothing? My dark jeans, my favorite wife beater, my too tight t-shirt, my old sneakers, my leather jacket.
Let's do a leather jacket.
I don't think anybody's ever picked that.
I don't think we had one. I don't think we had that one either. That's what I was thinking.
Kim, it's our anniversary. What are we doing? Candlelit dinner for two.
You asked it like you asked
What
it
are
like
we
it was
doing?
your anniversary.
I ask it that way every time, just so you know. I don't know if you've ever caught it before, but I always
No, I did.
I always say it that way.
I mean,
Kim, it's our anniversary.
okay.
What are we doing? Candlelit dinner for two somewhere dark. Let's just go somewhere dark. Let's drive.
Oh man. Why don't we just go somewhere dark?
Okay.
do you think going somewhere dark implies having sex?
No.
Okay, I didn't think so either.
It's just like
we've had this conversation
nighttime.
before, though. Somebody else
You could be
didn't
going
like
on
was
a
like-
walk or something.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's what I thought. You just like hang out. Yeah.
All right, Kim, last question, last picture you need to look at, the background. If you were to have your photo taken, what would the background be? Desert, blue sky, garage, city lights, an explosion.
Oh my god, it's an explosion.
All right.
Yeah.
Oh
Has to
yeah.
be
Look at that explosion.
It's-
So mighty.
Pretty epic. All right, Joe, do you have any guesses who Kim is?
Gonna guess The Rock.
Kim, you are Dominic Toretto.
Oh,
It was
yeah.
Dahmer the Rock. I knew it.
A born leader with certain faith and a moral code that puts family and friends above all. You walk around with huge confidence. You can be curt, but you're a lover and a fighter. Life in the fast lane is a philosophy, not an empty saying for you. Plus, Joe, Kim, you drive like the wind blows. So welcome to our family as Dom.
Do we have a Dom yet?
Jordan was a Dom. Chris Podcast is a Dom. Third Dom. Wow. Dom is that's a strong choice though.
Wonder how much a charger plays into that. Yeah, no, I'm glad. Yeah.
All right, so now we have another game here.
I was thinking you were gonna get Roman, by the way, because you were in the Roman camp.
Yeah.
And we've gotten some Romans, but everybody that didn't want to be Roman
got Roman.
got Roman.
Amazing.
Yeah, it was like if you were trying to answer it and not be Roman, the quiz plays really well to make you a Roman. Right?
Now, Kim, do you know a lot about cars or not a lot about cars?
I know enough about cars, but I also don't drive, but I love cars. It's strange.
That's cool.
Yeah.
No, it makes sense.
Okay. So the reason I ask is we have another game on the show where fans send in pictures of cars, and I, who know nothing about cars, try to get Joe, who knows a fair amount about cars, to guess them based on my terrible, terrible clues. So, your choice. We have 3 pictures tonight. We can play 1 or 2 or 3. Would you like to try to guess alongside Joe, or do you want to see the pictures and help me give clues?
I could guess alongside Joe.
Okay.
Oh, awesome! I have a partner today. Finally.
Okay.
I never had anybody that plays with me. Okay.
Really? All right, let's do it.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to play... We'll start with 1. We'll start with our newest fan, Joe Reed, who wrote in Joe3. Shout out Joe3.
Okay.
He sent in a picture. This car is red, so that helps.
Thanks.
So helpful.
The car is American. Okay, it's an American American car. It appears.
The joke. Wait, Kim.
Yeah.
Kim. The joke is that in the very first one that we did of these, I was like, Joey started describing it to me, and he was like silver, and I was like, oh, fucking great.
Which I know
that was
isn't
like
helpful,
the first
but
thing he
it
thought.
was still the first thought that came to my head. So first thought, best thought.
Yeah.
This car appears in the franchise. He says he thinks twice, both in the first movie and the fourth movie. Okay.
Okay.
2-door. Hard body, 4 headlights, 2 and 2, with a light underneath the 2. So there's 2 circular headlights on both sides.
Okay.
A rectangular light below them.
Okay.
Sort of a raised hood in the front a little bit.
Hood scoop, kind of.
I'm going to Google what that means.
Is it like a...
Okay.
Yeah, is it a
Yeah,
scoop?
hood scoop. Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
Okay.
It is from, I'll give you the year, it's from 1970.
Is it a Challenger?
No, but if you
Charger?
want to ask yes or no questions, it's not a Dodge.
Is it a Chevy?
It is a Chevy.
Is it a...
Oh, is it a truck?
Is it a Chevelle?
It is a Chevelle. It's a Chevelle SS.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there
Good
we go.
job.
Now I wonder...
I just remember that car from the movie.
So I'm going to put in here in the Skype chat. I don't know if you can see that.
Oh, yeah. I clicked gallery and it opened
Yep, there's the picture. It is a beautiful, looks like a cherry red Chevelle, 1970 Chevelle. Joe
yeah.
says
Gorgeous.
the car appears twice in the post-credit scene of the first movie, where I guess where Dom drives off into the desert, and also
Yes, true.
Dom races one in Fast and Furious, the fourth one. So
Okay.
pretty cool one. Okay,
Yeah, that was actually kind of a deep cut for it being so obvious. That was a good send, good picture. I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah. The headlights are... That's what did it.
next car picture, if you want to do another one, is from friend of the show Melissa Lynham.
Go for it.
It is from 2010. It's an Italian car. It's silver. It's got 2 headlights on either one headlight on either side, one little fog light below it on either side. Triangular grille in the front. It's a 2-door car,
What's
but
the
it looks
new
like it could
Spider
be a
called?
4.
The Alpha Spider. Is it a Spider still?
It's not a Spider, but it is an Alfa Romeo.
It is an
I know.
Alpha, but...
It used to be called a Spider, is what this car was, but they changed the name of it, and I can't think of the new name of the car. When you were like small Italian, like Alpha makes, it's essentially one car at this point. Fuck. I don't know the name of it.
Yeah, I don't know the name of it.
It's I don't know how to better describe it. I mean, you guys are. I think you're just there. I don't know if I can describe it to a place that you're
I'm
gonna
there.
get it.
Yeah, I can't come up with the name with it. I can see the car.
This is a
I
little
just
bit
don't know
not really trolling by Melissa, but this is the car from the car game picture. This is the
Oh,
Alfa
the
Romeo
Giulietta?
Giulietta. Yep.
Oh, cool. But I think that's like more like a small SUV type thing.
It doesn't look like an SUV. It looks more like
has a
station
hatch.
wagon-y.
Yeah,
It's a
it has
hatchback, right? Yeah.
They used to not look like this so much. They used to have just like It used to be like a really small car. Good job. She did troll us.
A little bit. She said, her question or her email said, if Joe 2 looks at the Fast and Furious character quiz weekly, then he'll recognize his car as a 2010 Alfa Romeo Giulietta. I'm hoping he doesn't, but if he does, then I'll have to find another car. And I said, even if he looked at it every week, he would not remember it because that's just not how your brain works. Okay, one more car picture. This one from Wes. We got two here. This is a Japanese car in production since '92. It is blue.
Okay.
Hood scoop and a spoiler.
Okay.
Dual exhaust on both sides.
Is it Subaru blue?
It is Subaru blue.
Okay. That actually helped. Like the blue there really. Okay, go ahead.
It is in production, still in production today since 1992. Featured in several of the films in this franchise.
STI.
Driven by not an STI. Nope.
WRX?
It is a WRX, the Impreza WRX.
Yeah.
You guys.
I don't think that they have. Do they have STIs in these movies?
Sexual transmitted
infection? Or are they all just
infection?
WRXs? No. This is an STI. That red sticker on the front. That's what that says. That little red sticker on the front of it, right there. But yes, an STI is just like it's like the LX version of a WRX. So it's like the M3 to the BMW 3 Series.
Cool.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So that was all. Thank you all to Joe, Melissa,
good job.
and Wes.
You guys did good.
Yes.
Thank you. I'm glad that Kim played with me. Thank you. I appreciate it, Kim.
Anytime.
Cool. So now we have one more game to play, Kim. And if you listened to an episode, you would have heard it.
Oh my God.
This ain't no 10-second race, aka
It's my favorite game.
Boy, do we have a podcast for you. So the rules of this game are pretty simple. I want you to go on Twitter and find any tweet that you think, when we reply to them with, boy, do we have a podcast for you, link to our show page, hashtag Fast and Furious, that there's a chance that they would acknowledge it, that they would like it, that they might enjoy the show. There's no right or wrong way to play it, although it feels like the wrong way to play it is how we've been playing it, because we have had no luck, really. The score after so many games is Joe has 9, I have 5, Chris has 1, no one else has any points. So while you guys look, let me review. So last episode, Joe, you found at Aliosa, Wingardium Leviosa, we have right here, Ollie Hill said, they run rings around the mothership. Hobbs and the Papa Alien have a high-octane fist fight in the tractor beam. Dom mumbles repeatedly about galactic family and living life 1/4 parsec at a time. The aliens weep as they realize the error of their ways. All is well. Well, Ollie, boy, do we have a podcast for you. Good news and bad news, Joe. Good news, he did not block you. Bad news, he did not respond. So, no points, but a step in the right direction, if you will.
That works. Okay.
All right. I found Mike Pearl at Mike Lee Pearl says the best evidence that Hollywood is run by idiots is that there's no Fast and Furious Christmas movie. Boy, do we have a podcast for you. No response. There was, what did we say in this movie? There is a reference to Christmas or something? We talked about it on this episode, I think.
Oh, yeah, it's the Chipmunks, the Christmas album. He plays it for the baby.
So this is the closest thing we have to a Fast and Furious Christmas movie. But again, Mike Lee Pearl did not respond. Our guest last time, Austin Wolf Southern, found that poll from Mike Morbid at JMikeMorbid. What movie has a connection to car chases and peas? Boy, do we have a podcast for you. No response. So once again, keeping up our streak of very little luck. No points there. So, Kim or Joe, do either of you have...
I got mine.
A tweet. Okay, send it to me.
I have a tweet from Joel, at Galactic Ninth. I recently watched through all of the Fast and Furious series. The transition from "Hey, cool turbo" to "Only you can stop Charlize Theron from nuking the whole world" is incredible. Boy, do we have a podcast for Joel.
Galactic Ninth. Hopefully, you will find some mirth and some happiness in this show. Also, Kim, for the record, the scoring is a like of a tweet is 1 point, retweet is 2, reply is 5. If they email us, 10 points. So, a lot of points at stake here. Kim, did you find a tweet that you think we should tweet at from @CageClubPod? This show does not have a Twitter, but our network's Twitter, @CageClubPod. Do you have a tweet that you would like us to send to?
I think so. All right, let me send it to you.
Do you want to read the tweet?
Yes, this tweet is from Scoobert Dubert. It just says, the new Fast and Furious film looks strange, and it's a photo of Chris Pratt and Sonic the Hedgehog on the back of the car.
That new Sonic the Hedgehog is setting the internet ablaze with his muscular legs. Scuba
So
Duber
fuzzy.
at Stealth Oblivion. Boy, do we have a podcast for you. Shout out Scuba
Amen.
Dubert. Okay. It's something that we talk about a lot. I'm going to put the link in Skype if you guys want to see it. It's from at the Funny Cater, Lamborghini Cersei. So I guess maybe a car and Game of Thrones reference. I watched Italian Job 2 days ago, and I swear it was exactly like a Fast and Furious movie, complete with Charlize Theron and Jason Statham. And also, behind the scenes, directed by F. Gary Gray, who directed this movie. Well, Lamborghini, whatever your real name is, boy, do we have a podcast for you. Too Fast, Too Forever.
Yeah. He's definitely going to block you.
Oh, 100%. I feel like my early predictions, you're going to get ignored, Kim is going to get a like, I'm going to get blocked.
Makes sense.
So, well, I mean, we'll see.
Well, Kim, we're going to keep the tally of everyone's scores.
Forever.
So if you ever choose to possibly grace us with your presence again and come back, we'll let you know how your tweet did.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Julie keeps track of them.
We would love to have you back at some future point. Maybe you and Walt together. You know, the serious, heavy-hitting journalist that we have on our, for some reason, gracing us with your presence on this show. But we thank you so much for doing this. What were you going to say, Joe?
I was talking to one of my coworkers today, and I was saying that, like, we have a guest tonight, and I was explaining a little bit about what I knew about Kim and his job. He was like, why would he ever come on? And I was like, people like these movies, okay? Like, they're fun movies. And he's like, like, just so confused.
They're fun movies. This is very important. The See You Again was the music playing when we cut our wedding cake. I mean, come on.
That's so perfect.
Man.
It's beautiful. There's something for everyone, man. You can get anything in here. Like, it's somber, it can be happy, it can be familial, it can be sad. It's whatever you want it to be.
Good amount of representation in these films. It's all good.
Which we love. Yeah, we talk about this a lot. Finally, a set of movies that's just not like 50 white guys, right?
No, yeah, even from the beginning. There's a lot of white guys in the first one, but also other people of other ethnicities and races and genders and everything. So shout out Fast and Furious for being diverse and inclusive in ways that really doesn't have to be, but it is anyway. So all the power to it. Well, thank you so much, Kim, for joining us. Anything you want to plug? You've got your invitation-only series on YouTube. Are you doing any more of those?
Yes, we're probably doing some more of those in the future, but no time frame yet. Please check that show out. It's called Invitation Only at Bloomberg's YouTube channel or on Bloomberg's Hulu channel.
That's also the link on your Twitter, right? Your Twitter link is to that playlist, I think, right?
Yep, I'm at Kim Bhasin on Twitter. That's KIMBHASIN, and the link to the show is on there.
Yeah, they're really, really cool. I will actually watch them more than once because I thought they were so interesting, but I made Rachel watch them again with me. We're just mesmerized. I'm super jealous of your job, and I think that the videos are awesome. They come out great. You do a great job at it, so keep it up for me, please. And I can't wait till you release more of them, and I hope that you do more videos of other stuff too. I was like trying to describe to my friends, and I hope you don't take offense to this, but I was like, you literally do most expensive-ish shit like 2 Chainz, but you are 2 Chainz in this version of most expensive shit. And it's like the coolest thing ever to me. I was like, but he is 2 Chainz in that. Don't take that the wrong way.
No, of course not.
I love both of them.
An inspiration to us all.
Exactly.
If you want to see Kim wear a $4 million ring from Tiffany, if you want to see Kim make jokes about racks and racks, or both kinds of racks you can think about while talking about a bra that Lady Gaga wore, go check them out. What's great about them, especially for today's short ADHD attention span thing, is they're only like 4 or 5 minutes each, and like it's super cool. You meet like these interesting, crazy people not crazy people, but like interesting people who have these like crazy shops and these crazy jobs, and just sell or rent out the things that we can only imagine ever even getting to see, let alone touch or get to try on, or being invited upstairs into the library of fashion or whatever she called it in that one thing. It's just, you are living a blessed life, Kim, and so just keep up the good work.
Always.
Well, so that is our last episode of this year, Joe. We have the next episode coming out, our
that's true.
tune-up. No one likes the tune-up. Recap, relap. Next episode comes out January 1st, 2019. We will see you next year.
As a reminder, because this one comes out before it, everybody watch how wacky CNN gets on New Year's Eve. It's the best New Year's Eve broadcast you can watch.
Kim, do you know about this? Like, CNN, like, lets the inmates run the asylum on New Year's Eve. Have you ever watched CNN on New Year's Eve?
Are there, like, main anchors not on that night because it's New Year's Eve?
No, it is.
Don Lemon gets
but they're just,
fucked up.
They let them get drunk.
And, like...
They like, had, like, the one anchor woman in, like, a weed shop in, like, Denver, and she was just getting, like, contact high the whole night. It just tanks. Like, it gets really wild. Who was on Joey, who was on when we were watching with Anderson?
Anderson Cooper's parents insulted Nicole Kidman on air.
Yeah. No, it wasn't his parents. It was the comedians. Who was the comedian with them?
No, I thought it was his parents. No, because he interviewed Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban, her husband, right? And then I think it was his mom who said something just like, oh, like that, like it just was like, oh, like she just took a shot at Nicole Kidman on national TV.
It's really wild. I highly recommend everybody watch it because this is coming out before it. I like to just tell everyone, like, if you want to watch a good New Year's Eve broadcast, I really think CNN is the best one because it gets wacky as shit.
And take it from me when
drink.
Like Joe and I spent New Year's together last year because Joe's wife was working and I just didn't have anywhere to go, so I drove up there. He's like, let's watch CNN, and I was like, I don't want to do that. Like, that doesn't sound fun. And then it sounds like there's gonna be nothing to watch, and it is ridiculous. So I endorse go watch CNN's New Year's coverage because it's crazy. And also listen to our Zack Attack episode about New Year's Eve, where we even have a countdown to midnight if that's something that you're interested in. The Zac Efron, Michelle Pfeiffer, every other actor under the sun. Kim, thank you so much for joining us. Go check out Kim's invitation-only series on YouTube, at Kim Bhasin on Twitter. Go check out his writing at Bloomberg. Go check out Stats of the Furious, which is incredible, which we will continue to reference on the show. But thank you for joining us, and thank you for all the work that you've done here. Just in terms of just pop culture, and in terms of luxury, and in terms of just fun, crazy, cool shit like Stats of the Furious.
Thanks for having me, y'all. This was awesome.
For all things Too Fast, Too Forever, you can go to cageclub.me or facebook.com/cageclub or at cageclubpod on Twitter and Instagram. Email us, family@cageclub.me. Check out our Patreon if you want to get some sweet merch and kick us a couple bucks. Patreon.com/TooFastTooForever. And we'll see you in 2 weeks, hopefully after you watch the CNN New Year's Eve
hopefully
countdown. I'm Joey Lewandowski.
I'm Joe too.
And that was Kim Bhasin of Bloomberg, and we'll see you in 2 weeks right here for Tune Up Lap 2 on Too Fast, Too Forever.
I'm with the gang, and we bout to go up. Switching lanes, it's a thing every time we show up. You a lame, and you so below us. Bet your hoe she know us, cause you know we glowed